Welcome to CMOs Without Borders.
I'm Joel Crampton. I help financial advisors, RIAs, and wealth managers replace scattered marketing with strategic systems that boost AUM and production volume.
I'm Mandy McPhee. I am a fractional chief marketing officer and work with founders who are doing too much and need someone to turn their scattered marketing into a system that actually drives results.
We're joined by Heather Gerdes, co-founder of Promode.ai, a company on the front lines of helping financial institutions and other companies put AI to work in smarter, safer, and more profitable ways. Whether you're running a $10 billion bank or a $200 million RIA, what we'll cover today is directly relevant to the way your firm grows in the next 2 to 3 years. So let's jump in and explore what AI and financial marketing really looks like when it's done right.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this conversation, Heather. We've been talking about AI, Joel and I, for the last little while, so really excited to hear your opinion on it. And this is the first time Heather and I are meeting, so really want to get to know you.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet you too. I've seen some of your clips on LinkedIn and excited to learn more about what you guys are doing and talk about AI.
So Heather, we're focusing on financial services companies, so credit unions, banks, financial advisors, RIAs, and so that's kind of the areas that we kind of go into in some of our conversations. But I know you help many other companies and many other types of industries. So please feel free to expand when we're asking these questions and how it's more relatable to other types of companies. As you know, marketing is marketing, no matter what industry you're in. And so I think a lot of what we'll cover today is applicable to anybody.
If Heather, as we chat, if we can take a look at Canada versus US as well, would love to hear your opinion on what's happening in both Canada and the States.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Does Promode have customers across the border?
Okay, this is really funny. One of our first clients was a CRM for credit unions in Canada.
It's meant to be then.
Yeah, and I think maybe later we can get into why they fell off before they even started.
Oh, there's a story.
Suspense. Yeah.
That is suspense.
There's some good lessons there for AI adoption. I think for like any company could take some notes from that one.
The credit union system in Canada is a little bit, they're merging right now. It's antiquated. It's hard for them to adopt new technology and new platforms. They just can't afford it. So excited to hear about that.
So that leads us to our first question of what's driving financial institutions to adopt AI in marketing right now?
Okay, so my business bank, I won't mention who they are. Great people, great humans who work at the bank. Very helpful, definitely experts at what they do. Their tech is awful. The banking portal is the worst part of my whole experience using that bank. And as a consumer, a business owner who uses their platforms, that is my primary experience using that bank. I might have need for 2 conversations a year, but I need that banking portal on a weekly basis. So I think it's just consumer driven. Using AI, making tech better, making everything slicker, faster, more efficient, more accurate across the board in marketing, in the customer experience. If you do not do that, you will lose customers, especially in generations that maybe aren't so relational in how they bank. You know, millennials and younger, they don't want to talk to a banker. They want a slick banking experience. So I think that consumer demand, you know, the Bank of Americas of the world investing so heavily in some very slick, their chatbot on their website is not any old chatbot. It's millions of dollars spent building those things for a reason, because consumers like it.
Yeah. The companies that I work with that are in financial services, they're always so far behind the curve on any sort of technology, using Excel spreadsheets to track prospects and clients and whiteboards. And it's frustrating
Scary.
from a marketing standpoint because you have all these great tools out there that you could use and implement throughout the company, but there's just a general worry about new technology, I think, because there's so many compliance concerns. So Mandy, what are you thinking? what's driving financial institutions to adopt not only AI, but more marketing tools?
I think that Heather's bang on when it comes to customers are forcing institutions to drive them towards AI because customers are demanding more. They're demanding faster service. They're demanding more efficiency from their banks and financial institutions. So in order for them to do that, they need to adopt new technology, including AI. Banks also have and financial institutions have a plethora of data available to them. So with that data, they can do way more with AI. They're using AI to provide more personalization, to provide more recommendations, to purchase more from the banks to increase their ROI as well. So it's not just about customer demand; it's about efficiency and getting to that level of profitability as well with personalization and with new recommendations for them.
Gotcha. So Heather, if you're sitting in front of a skeptical executive or founder, how would you make the case for AI? I mean, certainly you have a tool through Promode that incorporates AI from a marketing standpoint. What are some of the things that you hear from those CEOs and founders of companies that are talking to you and say, hey, we know we're terribly behind the curve when it comes to technology and marketing. You've got this fantastic new tool. How can we implement your tool? And are there any other tools that you would recommend we implement?
When it comes to skepticism, what I tell business owners who seem to have that air about them is a little skepticism is good. You should ask questions. You should dig deeper, because if you swing too far the other direction from skepticism, you get shiny object syndrome. And you just go buying tools and wasting dollars and wasting time and burning out your team, learning new tools that are never fully adopted. There's a lot of downside to being not skeptical at all. So a little bit of skepticism is good, but I encourage business owners to zoom out a little from the current AI conversation, the buzz around ChatGPT and these tools that we've become familiar with, and think about the greater world of AI. What is AI? It's machine learning, automation, and artificial intelligence in the way that we've seen it most recently. And then to understand, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, AI has been used on you for 2 decades. You know, recommender systems in social algorithms have been used by your competitors, the biggest ones, on you for ages. Netflix uses AI when it's telling you what to watch. It likely knows before you do what you're going to watch. AI is not a brand new thing that your company's taking a risk on. AI is a thing that is now accessible to you in the mid-market and SMB for the first time that the big guys have been using. And it's now time to grab hold of it. So it's kind of that two-edged thing, like skepticism is not all bad, and AI is not that new. It's just in its current form is a new power.
Yes, we've been using AI for decades with predictive analytics, segmentation, all of those data analytics that we've been doing to help businesses grow. They're not new. And that's
Totally.
all AI.
And if you're a business owner who's been spending 10 grand a month, 5 grand a month, whatever, on digital ads for the last 20 years, guess what? The reason those performed so well is because of AI. Those ad management platforms that are programmatically selecting ads and buying them in the milliseconds, AI is powering that. And you've entrusted your marketing dollars to be ran by that AI for as long as you've had positive return on ad spend in the digital space. So hopefully that gives some comfort, to those business owners.
How is Promo using AI, Heather? What are you doing with AI technology today?
We built a AI native marketing platform that handles all organic content. So it's email marketing, social, and web content, blogs, any web page type. And we use AI processes like retrieval augmented generation, otherwise called RAG model AI, which is an enterprise process where, not to get too technical into it because we could be here all day talking about it, the end result is the outputs are highly, highly accurate, which is why I think we're seeing a trend of highly technical or highly regulated companies coming to us because we can navigate compliance issues in any industry. We like for our clients and the public to see Promode as a utility. It is agnostic. It is a horizontal utility that verticals can plug into, and it can handle any of your compliance or regulation parameters really, really well so that you don't get in trouble for publishing aired content.
Yeah, and I think the compliance concern is really what keeps executives and founders of financial services companies very skeptical of new tools because they're so concerned about being fined by the SEC. But if you find a tool that has some sort of auditing capabilities that can track and have approval processes in place so that there are people that on the compliance team can approve things before they go out. I know there's a lot of social media tools that I've worked with in the past that have a person in charge that has to click a button that says, yes, this is approved to go. So there's checks
Totally.
and balances. Is that something that Promode has?
Yeah, we've got medical device companies and several highly compliant, highly regulated companies and in regulated industries, and they have a compliance officer internally who has to greenlight all content before it's published. That can, and you guys know this in marketing, that can be a huge bottleneck just for your throughput of content. And we're able to solve that by giving those compliance officers really specific permissions within Promode so they can go in and only see the stuff they need to approve. They're not seeing the back end strategy because the marketer doesn't want them playing around with all of their bells and whistles. Just do your thing. Go do your part. Don't worry about what's happening over here. So then those compliance folks can go in and do their last mile of that content. It works really well. But yeah, very common workflow that we solve for.
Yeah. Mandy and Heather, so with all these new technology tools we have with AI, there's still bottlenecks and friction points in the marketing process. And we're all in marketing. We love to go fast. How do you see those bottlenecks or friction points smoothing out with AI in place?
AI is going to help us with our workflows. It's going to help automate those workflows and make it a smoother process. It creates those efficiencies, especially where there's project hurdles. Bringing in AI will help us with the automation of your project management, the automation of how you get from one person to the next. As Heather said, from a compliance standpoint, she's just exposing a piece of the puzzle that compliance is more interested in rather than the entire scene. So I think it's going to smooth out those workflows going forward. We're not quite there yet, but man, we've come a long way in the last year.
Oh, I think the exciting thing about AI native applications like Promode, and we're seeing more pop up, is the way that they're built and the way that they handle data is fundamentally different. The old way of legacy software is essentially just a series of spreadsheets behind a user interface. And AI native software is built completely different. The data interacts with each other. There's context engineering behind the scenes. So you can make changes much more rapidly for almost no cost. Significant changes that would otherwise cost a lot of time and money to handle. It's just so agile and malleable and integrates beautifully with so many things. So I think just the nature of AI native software will solve a lot of workflow issues. That's what I'm excited about.
I want to pick up on something there, Heather, because you talked about context a little bit in your AI platform, and everybody's talking about the best prompts out there. But I've been talking more about context versus prompting because context is so important. A simple prompt doesn't do your request justice.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about context?
Well, one of the most important things to know when you're using a chatbot, a ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., is you should know a thing or two about context windows. So the context window is how much of your data that chatbot is considering when it is giving you an output. So most chatbots are kind of like teenagers. They only listen to part of what you say. Certainly my teenagers. And the context window for ChatGPT is about 13 pages, right? 8,000 tokens, give or take. And that's pretty common. Copilot, similar. So I've heard many stories from folks I talk to who say, yeah, I wrote a book and then I uploaded that entire book and then I'm asking ChatGPT or whatever tool I'm using to now create a month of social content inspired by my book or write 17 blogs inspired by my book. That sounds like a great exercise, but then they'll say, yeah, but the outputs are, it doesn't get it quite right all the time. That's because only about 13 pages of that book are actually being digested and understood, if you will, by that chatbot. So the context window is too small. So when we run Promode for clients, we build an AI readable database of everything they have, which is their whole website and any non-public documents they want to add to that. Sales decks, marketing strategy docs. We ingest all of that and then we structure that data in a way that can interface with LLMs, AI, so that we get really, really accurate outputs and no hallucinations. So it takes some kind of aftermarket work, if you will, to really like get it business ready, kind of production ready. And the reason context is important is, and this, I'll be over my skis in about 2 sentences, and then Joel will have to change the subject. But, you know, we've heard of neural language processing, right? So the idea of AI and the way that these LLMs work is more closely related to the way the human brain works. So the human brain thinks in terms of clusters of concepts or context, right? If we say, think of an analogy, a dog, right? A dog has hair on it. But if I say the hair of the dog, I'm talking about a drink, right? Like the context is important with that conversation. So these NLPs, neural language processors inside of LLMs, the way that this technology works is more closely related to the human brain as opposed to the old way of doing digital marketing, which was keyword heavy. It was all about keywords, exact words, not semantic. So that exact word placement, again, because the software, everything in the internet is just a bunch of spreadsheets, cells of individual words, individual numbers and context. So the AI is much more fluid, like the human brain. We're drawing connections and pattern recognition in that way.
Perfect. It's very understandable. It's elementary. We got it. So yeah, thank you
Okay.
for the explanation. Yeah, that's good. Mandy, any follow up on that?
No.
Okay. See,
How can
Heather,
I
you did
follow up
great.
on that?
You
She's
did
like,
great.
no, I fell asleep.
Put yourself to sleep. All right. So yeah, so let's change just a little bit
Yeah.
and start thinking about how AI changes the economics of marketing and the campaigns and the expenditures. How does AI help with the ROI and the other KPIs that we're tracking? And we want to make sure that these new tools make us more efficient, i.e., less expensive as a marketer or a team of marketers.
Mm. So where I'm excited about this is as it relates to organic content. So just before this call, I had a conversation with an enterprise content marketer here in Kansas City, and she was sharing with me from her experience in enterprise companies she worked with who would run like anywhere from 1 to 5,000 ad tests on every ad concept. So that versioning of
A lot of versions.
lots and lots of versions, 1 to 5,000. And again, the way that they were able to test those ad concepts is AI in the ad space, programmatic. So machine learning is capturing statistically significant increases of performance and then Xing out the low performer, bringing in a new one, testing it against that. That's been really difficult, dare I say impossible, in organic content, because the lift to create hundreds of versions of messaging, that's a lot. I mean, maybe at the tippy top of enterprise, I know they do message testing, but to publish 50 blogs to 50 different audiences, but it's about the same thing, just worded a little differently to see which one performs higher, that's not an investment companies were able to make, right? But now they are with AI. So now companies can be testing hundreds of pieces of content a month for performance using AI tools, arrive at high performing organic content. And you guys know what that means. You don't have to spend as much on ads. You may not need as many salespeople, right? So like down funnel, there's a lot of, if you can get that organic, the free content to perform really, really well, it's a different business.
Also reducing the amount of production time that's required. We used to have to go through copywriting, visual, design, and multiple iterations through the test and learn. What's iteration number 4? What's iteration number 5? With AI, it's allowing us to produce faster, reducing the amount of money you're spending on production to increase the amount you can spend in paid media.
I think the most energizing part of the AI conversation for me is that it allows smaller companies to compete more actively against the big guys.
Yes.
Because enterprise level, again, in organic content, enterprise companies have been publishing in the B2B space 80 pieces of content a month on average for years. Mid-market, under like 100 million, that number is more like 10 pieces of content a month on average. So now those mid-market companies can actively compete, producing as much, if not more, as good, if not better, content than their largest competition, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah, I work with a lot of smaller companies. So you say 100 million in revenue, we're talking 1 to 10 million in revenue, and there's no way they felt like they could compete against companies of that size. It was just a whole nother ballpark. So using a tool like Promode or other AI tools, they can generate that organic content in much more volume. Maybe they could only get 1 or 2 pieces out because there was just one person that was doing marketing, creating that content, or they're using an outside firm to create that content, and they were getting charged $300 or $400 for a blog article, whereas now they can use AI tools to get somewhat mediocre content out quickly. And if that's all they care about is just getting more touch points through their social channels or email campaigns, if they can just get that content out more quickly, they feel like they're better able to compete against those larger companies. So can you tell me a little bit more how Promode helps companies that maybe don't even have a marketing person, or they have a marketing coordinator who's not strong in content writing, or the company doesn't want to spend $300 or $400 or $500 on a blog article?
Yeah. I mean, we've learned a lot in the last year since we launched Promode, and I'll just kind of share some inside baseball. When we launched, we thought our kind of hypothesis was anybody can run their marketing with Promode. It's easy enough. The business owner can do it. The HR director can do it. The VP of sales. You don't have to have a marketer. But what we found, and I kind of fell on my sword, although the platform is easy enough, technically, those humans do not think about marketing often enough to log in and use it. So I've changed my tune. I now position Promode in conversation as a force multiplier, meaning you have to have a force. You have to have a marketing director who has some vision. They, don't have to do all the strategy work. Like Promo does a lot of it, but you do have to know how to fit that into your thinking about what you're doing, the content you're launching. Where does this fit into the overall strategy here? So you have to have a marketing director steering it, or a fractional CMO. We have several of those using Promode, or an agency owner. So any one of those three at the helm of a company's Promode. Otherwise, that business owner is busy. There's a reason they haven't hired a marketer yet, and it's probably because they don't quite realize they need one. And if they don't realize they need one, they're probably not going to take the time to log into Promode and run their own content. So,
Yeah, I think that's the misnomer, is that a lot of companies feel that AI is a replacement when it's not a replacement. It's an augmentation of what you currently have. You still need the thinkers. You still need the people who are connecting the business strategy to the marketing strategy, connecting the dots between how to fulfill on the vision and the growth goals of the organization and how to go to market with that.
Yeah, and it's something I underestimated. Maybe it's because I think sales and marketing all the time. So I'm assuming that people who would be interested in Promode would also be thinking about, business growth a good portion of the time, and that's just not the case. So I'm a huge champion for marketers, CMOs, and marketing directors, because I understand somebody has to carry that banner in that company. And the business owner is just all too often thinking about other things, which is fine.
Yeah, and Mandy, you talked about we need those thinkers within the company from a strategic marketing standpoint, but you also need somebody to do the things. I work with a lot of financial advisors, and they're in that same boat where the clients that they're working with can plug in their information into an AI tool and get a financial plan, but somebody needs to actually implement that plan and hold people's hands through that entire process. Just like a marketer is using a tool like Promode or any other tools, or a business owner is using a marketing AI tool, they can just plug in lots of content and get these action items, but somebody actually has to do the work. Somebody needs to be actively looking at those daily and figuring out what's happening, how do we need to adjust things going forward based on the metrics that we're seeing. So we need thinkers and doers with a marketing mindset.
Yeah, sure.
So we talk about inside financial institutions, what kind of cultural or mindset shifts are required to help AI get adopted successfully?
I would say fundamentally, there has to be a movement away from fear and into curiosity about this new technology. Also super important, because I'm sure you guys saw the MIT study, 95% of AI pilots failed. There's a lot of fine print there. They found 67% of AI pilots that were implemented by vendor solutions brought in were successful. 67% of in-house builds of AI or internal implementation failed. So inverse relationship between whether you're buying a tool or having your team build something. Whether you're building it internally or outsourcing it, bringing in a tool, whatever the case, it is paramount that the business owner or the business leadership communicates to their team the entire time. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Because your employees are thinking you're trying to replace me, even if you're not. So you have to cast a new vision for the future of this business. You have to get the team on board with that vision. talking to your team about what are the parts of their job that they really love. What are the parts that fire them up, that they know they're good at, that they would like to do more of? Chances are, whatever that is, if you dig under the surface of it, AI can't replace that. Because there's some kind of human thing there, whether it's creativity or working with people. Find the emotional part that a robot can't do, and then find how to cultivate that in your people and encourage them that they will get opportunities to do more of that thing with the adoption of AI. Hey, help me train this AI to do this thing that you've been doing, the button pushing part of this job. We're going to automate this. We're going to AIify it. You're going to own it and run it with your strategy. And then with your excess time, the 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, guess what? I want you to work on this project where you're going to shine. That takes a lot of effort from the very top down, that kind of executive touch, to lead those people into that new future. Without it, and this is the story of the CRM company that we encountered who was in Canada. They were on an onboarding call. We're launching Promode, and I noticed there's 8 people on this call. And I'm like, who are all these people? This is like a $10 million company. Why are there 8 people on this call? Oh, well, I do the SEO, and I do the social organic writing, and I do the email writing, and I do this writing, and it's a bunch of copywriters. And I'm like, what is happening here? So I carry forward with the onboarding. I'm integrating their systems, and then they're telling me, oh, well, we're not going to actually publish anything from Promode. We're going to copy and paste everything into our other systems and launch it from there. Well, why would you do that? Because you'll be sacrificing all the machine learning benefits of the platform if you take it out, and whoever's paying for this tool, your boss, will never be able to see performance metrics attached to this investment of this tool.
Right.
Yeah, that's okay. And then it dawned on me. They are preserving their jobs right now. So they're telling me they will never publish from this platform. They will always copy and paste, because then it has their name on it in their system that they run, and it will look like Promode is doing nothing, and they will get none of those insights from the tool. So clearly that message of why are we using AI and what am I going to do if something else is writing the emails, right? That message was not communicated with that team. And so I stopped the onboarding. I said, we're not going to do this. And we canceled them and never heard from them again.
It's
That was a bold move, but probably the right move. I think there's that fear of AI is replacing everybody's jobs. And while I think there are some jobs that will be replaced and are currently being replaced by AI, most likely your job will be replaced by somebody who knows how to use AI optimally and maximize using these AI tools and utilities to make themselves a much bigger contributor to the company. And so, like you said, amplifies what they can produce from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, we have yet to see a marketing director 3 months after onboarding say, yeah, I basically quit my job because Promode does everything. No. But what they do say is, now I have time for this laundry list of other stuff that I've been wanting to do for 5 years. I wanted to find a really great videographer. I never had time to manage that project. Now I do. I now have time to develop a relationship with these associations. And I've got speaking events scheduled for for the business owner. And, they're working outside of the busy work now. And they're loving it. Like, that's the hope of AI, right?
Yeah. So looking 2 to 3 years out, what AI use case in marketing and financial services seems futuristic now, but do you think it's going to be mainstream pretty soon? And we'll have Heather, you answer that question first, because you are a marketing scientist and you seem to be on the cutting edge of some of this technology. But I think both Mandy and I have some thoughts on where this might go.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you played around with the new image generator from Nano Banana? Yeah, from Gemini.
Yeah.
It's insane. I don't even know why they called it Nano Banana, but so that people would talk about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think image generation is pretty much there at this point with the release of Nano Banana. I think like B2B adoption, as we've been kind of beta testing it with Promode folks, we're like, well, okay, here we go. I mean, I thought it would be at least a year, maybe longer, before I would see B2B adoption of AI gen images. But I don't think so now. So, if you're a manufacturing company and you've got medical devices, you can now take lifestyle in clinic images with only a manufacturer stock image, right? So you've got the manufacturer image, you use these tools, now you can set the scene of that product in anywhere. And that's a very real world use case for AI gen images that saves the company a ton of money, saves the team a lot of time, and allows them to hit those increased volume numbers with their output. The other thing, I think we're going to see a lot more individualized, highly personalized content delivered algorithmically the way that it does, and companies feeding into those kind of hyper segments, very niche audiences. And that content will continuously adapt to behavior and market shifts with the machine learning happening, measuring engagement. And it's just going to get really, really custom, even more than it already is. I think we're at the bleeding edge right now with business applications of AI. We're trying to maintain a foothold for another 6 to 9 months, at which point, it's going to be a branding game.
Well, I think what people don't understand is what AI in the context of ChatGPT has only been out for 2 years or 3 years, right? And so you look at that adoption curve, we're at that early adoption phase, and there are so many companies that haven't even tried to adopt AI into their systems and processes. What is the curve? 15% are in the early adopter. So you've got 85% of companies haven't even touched what AI could do for their business. I think there's a tremendous runway of growth for marketers to use AI tools to go into companies and improve their systems and processes with very simple tools and tech that's out right now. And I think that's just going to wow the founders and the CEOs and presidents of the companies that we're working with. And we're sitting here thinking to ourselves, we're using technology that came out 3 years ago and it's blowing you away. Just think what we could do when we add in what's coming up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think with this new technology, with the kind of leveling of the playing field that has happened because of AI, it's the great equalizer. What I would tell business owners in your space, financial services, financial advisor offices, I would highly encourage them to not avoid marketing because of compliance. Like
Amen.
the days, and you guys have heard it over and over again, I
Yeah.
am sure. And I've literally sat with business owners who've told me we don't do marketing because of compliance. That is a cop out.
Absolutely.
It is a cop out, and I'm sorry, but you're going to get left behind. Look at your biggest competitor in the same space and ask yourself honestly, are they complying? Are they in compliance with the way that they are actively and viciously marketing? Of course they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a way to do it.
And our last episode was how to stand out in the sea of sameness. If just one of them uses a tool like Promode or another AI tool that helps elevate them with very low cost and very quickly, I don't think it takes that much to stand out. It just
It
takes
doesn't,
somebody. It doesn't. Yeah.
especially in your space,
Yeah. Absolutely.
especially in those blue and white and gray, and everything is trust, and
Mm-hmm.
everything is service, and everything is we've been here 100 years, and nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody hears you. It is white noise.
Yeah.
So you are so right. And, talking about smaller companies, a small company with a powerful tool is a beast to reckon with because they're nimble, right? Like I was just listening to a podcast this morning with Rory Sutherland talking about family-owned businesses and how they dominate in marketing. And a lot of that is because there's not as much red tape. Yes, you have compliance. Do your compliance, but you don't have to please, 50 shareholders with a new logo or a new marketing campaign. You don't have to go through months and months of revisions for a simple campaign. If you're a small and agile company with a small decision maker pool, you guys can make really cool decisions really fast. And you can test them and nix the ones that aren't that cool after all. Stay in compliance. I'm excited to see the case studies of companies doing exactly what I'm describing.
There's such great power in being small and nimble.
Totally.
We see a lot of the banks, bigger banks in Canada, the larger financial institutions, investment firms who are just so risk averse and not willing to take on these new technology platforms to change and evolve and adopt and become more efficient. There are so many tools that can help them with compliance that they're just not using yet. I think from an AI perspective, adopting those types of compliance tools will help them be more nimble.
Companies who go into this conversation with, okay, how do we use AI to grow our business? Wrong question. Think of the actual problems. How do we compete more actively against our biggest competitors? How do we capture market share? Okay, now we walk it back, and guess what? AI will be a part of that story. But that's the utility to get you there. It isn't the end game.
Right. It's isn't the author of the story. It is the tool to help you shape the story.
Totally. It's an amplifier. Do you have something worth amplifying? AI is your friend. If you don't bother.
So Heather, what, some final words about Promode? Promote your business for us a little bit.
Yeah. It's been a labor of love. It's been a lot of fun. We are learning a ton. If you're a highly technical business, if you've got a lot of moving parts, compliance, you should definitely take a look, especially if you have a fractional CMO or a marketing director. It's the alternative to hiring more people. It's the alternative to burning out your marketing director. And it's the alternative to getting left behind by competitors who are marketing better and faster. So helping mid-market companies compete is really what we're excited about. We're champions of business owners and marketers. We want you to put your brilliant ideas as a spark into this machine, and then we make it fly. Hit us up, our website, Promode.ai, or my LinkedIn, tagged in this clip.
There you go.
Well,
Heather, thank you so much. It's been
Yeah,
great.
anytime. You guys are
Gave us a
great.
lot of great insights on AI, and we'd love to have you back. So
Yeah.
thank you for
And I'll
coming.
be talking to both of you on our podcast. And after this conversation, I've got a really good frame of how that should go and what questions I'm excited to ask you guys.
I've got a client right now, Heather, that we're going to have more conversation about.
Yeah, let's do a demo. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Love it. All right.
Cool.
Thank you very much,
All right.
everyone.
Thanks, guys. We'll see ya.
Thanks.
That was Heather from Promode.ai, and today's conversation, I think, made one thing very clear. In financial services, AI isn't optional anymore. If you want to learn more about Heather and Promode.ai, check out the show notes. And if you're a leader at an RIA, bank, fintech, consider this your wake-up call. AI is reshaping the client journey right now. The question is whether you'll lead or will you be left behind? Thanks for listening. And as always, keep pushing for marketing without borders.